Yes, Carys Paul Elam with a voice for men.
Hi, thanks for giving me a call. How's it going?
Good. How are you today?
Good, thanks. It looks like on your phone that you're on Skype, I guess.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know sometimes I have trouble hearing people when they're calling from Skype, so if we have any troubles, I guess I'll let you know.
Okay. No problem. Can you
Okay.
hear me all right now?
Yeah, it sounds okay right now. Sometimes it just seems like there's a lot of echo for some reason, but it seems totally fine right now.
Okay. We'll go
Um,
with that for the time being then.
Okay, sounds good. So I think you've probably gathered from my email what I'm doing. We've just had, as I'm sure you're aware, a lot of men's issues awareness groups starting in Toronto recently on university campuses, or
Yes.
at least attempts to start them. And your website obviously has been following that pretty closely and gets brought into the debate a lot. So I guess first of all, I just wanted to iron out, do you have any affiliation with the groups that are trying to start these groups on campuses?
None whatsoever.
Okay. Why are you following it so closely then?
Well, because these are related to the very same issues that we address as an organization. Particularly, we're interested in the what has been the violent and unprincipled resistance to those groups forming.
Hmm. Okay. So sorry, just to go back and just to completely spell this out, so you're not affiliated with either CAFE or the University of Toronto Men's Issues Awareness or the Ryerson one?
That is correct, nor are we affiliated with any of the speakers that have come to speak at their events.
Okay. And I know, I guess you've recently got, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's not recent, but the Canadian and Ontario members of your masthead, I guess, they're not affiliated either, are they?
No, nobody with in any official capacity with a voice for men has any connection whatsoever to any of these groups.
Okay. Sorry to like harp on that point so much.
No, that's quite all right. I will be very thankful if you're the first person in the media that actually gets that clearly.
Okay. So with that said, I mean, I guess you've touched on this a little bit, but it does seem like even looking on your homepage, quite a lot of the posts are related to this issue. Isn't there just as much going on with this in the States?
Well, not in the same way. I mean, to a lesser degree, there are National Coalition for Men, which is the oldest men's rights organization in Western culture, anyway. Um, they have groups that are forming at like Montana State University,
Hmm.
and there has been since there was such a violent retributive reaction from feminist ideologues at the University of Toronto that has sparked a significant uptick in interest, just as it did in Ryerson,
Hmm.
from people who are interested in forming men's groups. Again, that's not affiliated with us in any way. It is, but we happen to be as a rather prominent advocate group for men's rights. We do get a lot of contacts from people expressing interest in forming their own groups and looking for assistance.
Do you have any theories about why this is all happening now?
Well, I think a lot of it is because I mean it's a complicated question, but yeah, I do. I think that feminist hegemony in academia, in government, and in Western culture has gotten to such extremes that it is oppressive and that you're starting to see a backlash from that. We had here in the United States, I'll give you an example. Last year, the Obama administration issued what was called the Dear Colleague letter. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, what it essentially did was inform universities that receive government funding that in matters of the allegation of sexual assault on campus, that they must reduce their standard of proof from a reasonable doubt standard, which had been a 200-year-long standard at schools for any allegations of crimes, to preponderance of the evidence, which effectively meant that if they if the school or a body of students appointed to hear these cases on behalf of the school believed the accuser 0.1% more than the accused, they have been found guilty, expelled from campus. This has resulted in several people. One notable person, Caleb Warner at the University of North Dakota, was expelled from school on the accusation of somebody who alleged he sexually assaulted her. She also filed a police report. The police investigated, found her report to be fraudulent, issued a warrant for her arrest for filing a false police report. She fled the state. The university was made aware of all these things, and they still refused to reinstate him. It took 2 years for that to happen. So there's a lot going on university campuses that the mainstream media refuses to pay attention to. They have to do with the civil rights of young men who are going to college. Usually any attempts to address these things gets a reaction from the mainstream media and from feminist groups on campus that the attempt is based in wanting to be rape apologist or supporting sexual assault against women, which of course is patently untrue. But that is the scenario that we're in now, and you're seeing a reaction to it. I would anticipate you're going to see a lot more.
Yeah. A lot of people are talking about, no matter which, I guess if I can make it as simple as saying side, whether it's the students' union and the people who are protesting the events being organized by the men's issues awareness groups or the groups themselves, they say they don't agree with, on your website, singling out protesters and the featured offenders section and calling various women feminists, bigots, and other things like that. Why are you doing that online?
Well, my problem, ironically, is with a culture where people think there's anything wrong with what we're doing. One, let's clarify a couple of things just so you're really aware of the issues here. We did not single out people for protesting. That is absolutely untrue. We identified individuals that engaged in violent behavior. We identified individuals, or attempted to, that were blocking doors from people going to attend a lecture. We identified individuals that publicly bragged about vandalizing posters that were set up to promote that event. We did not single out anybody that was just protesting for identification. We identified people who were out there doing illegal acts, and we have not only a right to do that, but an obligation. Let me put it this way for you, sort of reverse the thing. Had there been people at the door blocking women from going in to seeing a lecture on women's issues, or if there were young men out there screaming at women, "You're fucking scum, you're a fucking rape apologist, you're a fucking incest supporter," for trying to attend a lecture, you would be interviewing me right now to lionize my website for identifying these people in public. The problem here is bigotry, and that's why we're not hesitating to call it as such. Nobody paid attention to this until we started identifying the people doing it. And now most of the attention that we're getting is from people who are concerned about identifying these people. Where is the story from you, from the Toronto Star, from any of the mainstream media that is really focusing on the violence and the repression of free speech that was committed by members of the University of Toronto Students' Union? So I've got to ask you a question. Why are you questioning me about the validity and the correctness of posting information on these people, but you are not going to the source of this illegal and repressive conduct and questioning them?
Well, who's to say I'm not going to the source of this? And also, these people haven't been tried in court. You're calling them offenders and calling them names, and you don't really have proof of that at this point.
What do you mean I don't have proof? I have their...
Well, you may have proof, but it's getting to that point where I can't really hear you.
Okay. I do have
kind of
proof.
Echoey.
Okay.
It might be better now.
Okay. I do have
Um,
proof of everything that I'm saying.
but
And,
why do you need?
you're fair to ask me, who's to say you're not going to ask them? So I will retract that part. What I will say is that based on my experience with every member of the mainstream media, I have yet to see anybody do it. And so if you prove me wrong on that, I'll be very happy about it and very grateful. But until I see members of the mainstream start addressing these thugs that are operating at the University of Toronto, then I'm I'm not going to be a believer.
Right. But what proof do you have? You've seen video evidence, I guess. I mean, I don't think you were there yourself, and even so, you're saying that they're committing violence, and I don't know if you use the word crime or not, but these people haven't been tried in court.
Well, what I have is their admissions. If you're talking about two of the three women that we identified on the site were publicly tweeting their violent actions, their destruction of property, and bragging about it. I think that's fair proof. I think that video evidence of people blocking doors, of people screaming epithets, harassing and bullying a young man who was trying to find out why his friends committed suicide is proof.
Right. Okay. I mean, that video is being edited. I'm not saying that it's being edited in a way to suggest that anything untrue happened, but I just don't know. Why target them online in the way that you have by calling them names and putting their picture and location? I don't really know why that seems necessary, even if you want to single out what they've done, which you think is wrong.
Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I identify their behavior and put it online? That's something they've already done. What we did was we put their tweets up. We put the evidence that they gave us. They were bragging about this conduct. And now, repeating that, taking what they've already put online and putting it on our website is somehow, what, wrong?
Well, because you're calling them featured offenders and bigots.
Well...
And now the University of Toronto says it has to develop safety plans because threats
have
escalated to the point...
The University of Toronto does not say that. That is not true, ma'am.
Yes, they do.
The University of Toronto Students' Union, which instigated a lot of this behavior, has made all kinds of claims about...
No, I'm not talking about the Students' Union. I'm talking about the university. I can send you the statements. They're on their website if you want.
Yes, I'll be happy to look at their statements to see if they have indicated they're implementing policy to address a voice for men.
It doesn't name your website, but it talks about threats online and students being individually targeted. And
we've made no threats online toward anybody. We have received threats. We have not threatened anybody.
Have you been contacted by the University of Toronto?
No, we have not.
And has anyone asked you to remove those the information about individual students?
Not directly, no.
Okay. Has there been any
if they did.
Okay, who asked you to?
I said, nor would we if they did.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said, oh, yes, we have.
Oh, no. No, nobody's asked us. We've had no contacts from the University of Toronto administration. We've had no direct contact from the University of Toronto Student Union.
Okay. I noticed a couple of the other protesters or people that are in that section of your website are from outside of Toronto. Are they, did they do similar things, or why are those other people there?
Which other people?
I don't have your website up right now, but I guess the other people under the featured offenders section that aren't from the University of Toronto.
Oh, that site links to another website that we own, registerher.com.
Yeah.
You can click through to any of those. There's a lot of people there. There is people there for all different types of offenses. We editorially establish a category for bigots when we have evidence and irrefutable proof that of people engaging in the dissemination of information that is prejudiced sexually against men, and done in what we believe to be a very harmful way, we have listed them in a category as bigots. I, I, I think we would do the same thing, or people wouldn't have a problem with it if we list Klans people as bigots or skinheads or Aryan Brotherhood. These are people expressing the same types of sentiments about men that those other groups do about blacks and other minorities. They qualify.
Okay. What do you have planned for Thursday's event?
Plans for what?
Plans for Thursday's event? Do you have any specific
We have
plans?
a news team that will be attending.
Okay. And what will they be doing? Just documenting it, or?
Yes, they will be documenting it, and they will be there in particular to document any illegal activity by protesters. If there is any illegal activity, if there are doors blocked, fire alarms pulled, if people are harassed or bullied, we are going to document that on video. We're going to do everything we can to seek out the identities of the individuals responsible. And I will be running as many feature articles as is necessary in order to get their identities out to the public. They will also be listed on the registry.
Is there anything else at this point that you think I should know?
I think that the mainstream has a lot to catch up on. And I don't mean this just to you personally, but I mean the mainstream media has a lot to catch up on the fact that there are serious and glaring issues affecting men and boys in our culture. And that right now, in front of your very eyes, you are seeing the concerted efforts of hateful ideologues to repress the expression of those ideas, to repress the attempts to address and ameliorate those problems, and that you are, in fact, aiding and abetting them by focusing on this trivial nonsense about whether or not we publish the names of people engaged in illegal activity.
Well, that's not the only thing that I've talked to other people about, but that's the reason why your particular group plays into this. And I think if you didn't want people to focus on that, then maybe you would stop posting it.
Oh, please. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? When is the last time that your publication ran an article on male suicide in Canada? Men are killing themselves there at 4 times the rate of women. When's the last time you ran an article critical of family courts? When's the last time you have ever addressed any of these issues in a meaningful way? Please do not tell me that because we are identifying agents of hatred and bigotry that we're somehow keeping the mainstream media machine in Canada at bay from addressing these in a legitimate way. That is just nonsense.
I'm not saying that I'm not dealing with the other issues that are at play, but I'm just saying that that's what I needed to talk to you about, because
that is what you're choosing to report on, ma'am. That is not what you need. It's what you're
talking to a lot of different people, and in terms of the people organizing the events at U of T and elsewhere in Canada, I've talked to them a lot about and I've talked to Warren Farrell about the specific issues. But the real reason why I needed to talk to you, as I mentioned in my email, was because of the posts specifically about this that are causing concern.
A lot more than just those posts, ma'am. We do a lot of work to address these issues, to encourage the media to start looking at them, to address the ways that men face discrimination in this culture across the board. We've been doing it for years before the University of Toronto stuff ever came up. This is not the only thing we're about.
I didn't say it was. It's just the reason why you keep getting mentioned by different people involved in this situation. So that's why I had to specifically talk to you about that. If you'd like to talk about some of the issues, we could as well, but I've talked to a lot of people involved in the story about those issues as well.
Well, fair enough. Perhaps when the time comes, that the issues that groups like CAFE and the Men's Issues Awareness Group are trying to get out there, when those things start getting addressed, then maybe at that point, you and I won't have to have the discussion that we're having. But right now, there is too many organized attempts to shut them up, and a Voice for Men is not going to stand by idly and let it happen.
Okay. I will send you those statements that I was talking about if you want.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.